I was shocked. Good evening. I was just seeing my camera wasn't actually. It's a bit strange. I haven't set. I set my camera up, but it's not set up properly. So anyway, I just saw that at the corner of my eye. Oh, you've got my door. So good evening once again. Welcome to the live stream chat. I will move it a bit. Which one am I looking at now? This is not setting up properly. This is not getting ready for the live stream. This is very unprofessional, Rev Dan. Very unprofessional. But we are here again for Faithful Questions. I'm so glad that you can join with me. I was just reading before Billy's craft room said the lyrics of the song. Playing behind at the start screen feel appropriate. Yes, they do. Like I say, it's off a good friend from South Africa. And they do resonate with people, actually. But I have to, what I do is I trim out the song. So about now, YouTube are getting quicker. About half an hour after I end the stream, it sends me an email and says it's copyrighted. In fact, she's given me permission to use it. But instead of going through the permission, it's far easier. Okay. It's far easier to just trim it out than I got permission from her because all the copywriting, so I just trim it out anyway. It gets heard at the beginning. Francis is right. Francis says good evening to everyone, or good morning where appropriate. It is quite amazing, even though we a small group as on here, that there are so many people from different countries, from Australia to the States. That time zone difference is crazy. So it's such a blessing. Whereas I'm at the moment sitting in the dark. You got some on the next day and some still on the same day, but many hours behind. So that's cool. Which is poor Wayfair. My seat is not comfortable. My seat is really uncomfortable at the moment. Don't know what's gone wrong. Billy says, just call me Billy. All good, pronoun she. Billy, yeah, advertise. Oh, my mic was stuck behind my monitor. Yeah, advertising for your. Do you have a YouTube channel? Do you do stuff on there, or is that something you set up? And Vincent, with that, good afternoon from Texas. So we got Australia. Whereabouts in Australia? And we got Texas. I wonder how many hours difference that is. That's quite a lot. Anyway, this week I'm wearing a blue jumper, not a red jumper, a blue jumper, as I usually do. And I'm not, for some reason, I think I said before, YouTube started to promote to live stream to the short, so it's vertical as well. It's not letting me do that. So that means I can move around. Because when it's a shorts, you got this much screen, and so your face couldn't really bounce out of that. So it was always hard checking yourself. But now I can do that. I can even show you my door there. So Brisbane, Australia. Let me ask. ChatGPT would be the quickest way. My mic is in the way though. And this is just the lazy way to do it. How many hours difference? I'm not the quickest typer either. Between, and I got a wire in the way, right in the middle of my keyboard. Brisbane and whereabouts in Texas? Texas. That's the key. 6 a.m. 6 a.m. We could do it that way, can't we? 6 a.m. and Dallas. Okay, and Dallas is probably about 6. And ChatGPT is going 16 hours. Brisbane is 16 hours ahead of Dallas. That's crazy. So, so you are really just on such different days. You're not even like 12 hours. It's 16 hours of difference. Yeah, so your days are completely. So yeah, 2 p.m. So 6 a.m. start of a new day. Well done for being at 6 a.m. as well. That's and then still 2 p.m. So you're still like where I was. I was at 2 p.m. I was just dropping my son off at American football practice, and then I still had a 40-minute drive back because of the traffic. So that's what I was doing at 2 p.m. At 6 a.m. tomorrow, well, I'm not even there yet. I still got a whole sleep to go. It, it just, that's when you start to realize Earth is quite big. You know, your present reality is mine to come, and uh, and then Vincent's is my past. Wow, I love stuff like that. Anyway, so good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Um, we had not wonderful. We've had awful weather. If you're in England, if you're in this time zone, the weather in England has just been awful. And we had a nice day yesterday. Went to London with the family. Let me just autofocus it. I look blurred. But we paid for it today with rain, and cold, and it being really cold. And when I took because we live in the countryside, we got the windy, beautiful country lanes. But where it usually floods, it was actually flooded across the road, and so it's completely flooded. And I was following someone in an electric car who was thinking that they were in a petrol car, and I'm like, you're in an electric car, you just drive through it. You're not going to have a problem. So it's like, but they drove so slowly. It's like, oh, you know. And one puddle I went through, another car went at the same time, so we had to stick them each side of the roads, and they went really slow. They were like going like 2-3 miles an hour, where I was probably going 10, and I completely, not on purpose, but I completely splashed their car. It was like, well, you need to go quick. Come on. Anyway, so Billy says, had some very interesting weather for Transfiguration Sunday. We get Transfiguration in August, I think, in where we are. Sky went the colour of honey after a dark, wet day. Out the back, clouds nearly purple, and had a double rainbow. Ah. And so, Billy, you're in, you're in Australia. That's right. No, you're not. Billy, where are you? No, poor Wavehair is in Australia. I'm getting lost. What's I forgot what hours it's called. I put my book of common prayer away after doing the 8 a.m. It's over behind me. So in fact, it's right. I gotta wait. That's it. Where's my finger? There. That's where I store my book of common prayer. It's Segasima or something like that today, which is the Sunday before Lent. But not Transfiguration Sunday. Nick, His Excellency Archbishop Richard Moth was installed as Metropolitan Archbishop in Westminster Cathedral yesterday. The cathedral did a lovely live stream that was on their website. A whopping 4 hours long. The actual mass of installation started at 1:35 because they prayed the offices of Lords and Turris beforehand. Wow. Well, I got my bishop friend from Kenya. I mean, the installation of a local vicar there is sometimes like just 5 hours, because it comes up on my Facebook because they live stream it, and it's just like 5 hours long. So you can't beat the Africans, I tell you. Billy, haven't seen the Olympics, but how did the Brits do on the bobsleigh thing? I wouldn't want. You have to watch it. I wouldn't want to say because people might not know, but they did well. I was watching it. We've done well today. We've had a good day. Billy, as the doctor on Doctor Who says, wobbly blobbly timely wimely. So, Richard, sleet and snow. Yeah, it's just been a rainy day all day. We paid. It's like we paid. The weather here has just been awful for weeks now. And I think I saw on the news, like in London, they had 33 minutes where it wasn't cloudy. And the period before are broken records for the amount of cloud cover that was over London. So hopefully that means we have an amazing summer. Hopefully, like we get the worst bit now and then just have a beautiful summer. That would be amazing. That would be really good. It's okay. It's written there what Sunday it was because I can't say it. Quinquagesima. No, it's not too bad, is it? Quinquagesima Sunday. That's it. Francis, we had a gospel reading of the Transfiguration today. Oh, really? Is that it? I tell you why. Then, because we get the Transfiguration in August usually, I think, don't we? But anyway, we're doing a sermon series on the Psalms, and we're doing Psalm 20. We did Psalm 23 today. And then John 10, 11 to 18, which is just so appropriate. So, yeah, I have no idea what the lectionary is doing, but Psalm 23 was so beautiful to preach off. And the church was really busy today. So with the weather so bad and wet and cold, we thought, man, it's going to be quiet today. And it was busy, really busy. And when I went to the door, because we do the traditional thing of the vicar going to the door, to say goodbye to those who leave, and the majority stay for tea and coffee, which is amazing. We get some leave straight away. I opened the door, and in our porch, I've never seen so many umbrellas. It was just like both sides just full of umbrellas, and I'm like, yes, that's it. You'll want to make your way to church. That's such a good thing. So even though it's cold and wet, I'm going to church. Billy, you don't want to go quick through floodwater with the potholes unless you want to get new wheels. I'm in the UK. You're absolutely right. Because I said to my son, there's one thing that I would never want to be, and that's my front left tire. My front left tire is getting battered, is absolutely getting battered. Oh, let's say this. We got roadworks in our street. And they're replacing the gas mains. They're replacing all the pipes. And they put a sign right near the end of our drive. And we live on a corner. It's a nasty corner to get out of anyway. And we had to drive out into the middle of the road to turn left. So one morning, my wife goes, and naturally we don't. You kind of try to keep going off the other side of the road. So it's the morning she's going to work. She does what we all naturally do, keep close. And she kept close and hit the sign. Luckily, the sign didn't go into the metalwork of the car, but it did go right into the tyre and burst the tyre. So I phoned this company and I said, I got a complaint. You put the sign really close and it hit our car. And luckily, in one way, it only burst the tyre instead of going through. And then they said, well, we have to investigate. And then they phoned me back and said, we accept no responsibility. The sign wasn't in the road. And I'm like, the sign was within a meter of our exit. And you're taking no responsibility. Anyway, so we're now going to go back and forth on this. You know what it's going to be like. I've taken a photo of a sign on the other side of the road, which isn't in the road. But you know when you get this sign, you get the base of the sign. So the base of the sign is there. So the base is like here. But the sign overreaches. It hangs over the road. So I'm like, oh, that's a pain. Such a pain. Anyway, I won't name them. But it's crazy. Billy says, so I was confused. It was because the online services were reading about Transfiguration in the sermons. Sounds like I've assumed that it's Transfiguration Sunday. My bad. No, it's not your fault. The reading can be absolutely Transfiguration, and it was, as Francis says. It's not Transfiguration Sunday, though. So, yeah. So that's someone preaching on it twice this week. Harry Cook, new subscriber. Hey, Harry, welcome. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for being here on this live stream where we just chat and ask questions and go through what's happening. But do join us. It's a lovely little community. Hello, Nick. Cloudy and rainy across the pond here too. That's good. We're all bearing the brunt of our horrible weather system at the moment together. So, are you sending it to us or are we sending it to you? That's the question. Billy, do you remember the elephant feet that people used to leave umbrellas in? No, not elephant feet. What's the elephant feet? We got one of those umbrella stands. It's very cute. A whole load of people came with umbrellas to a wedding, and it was rainy, and they were people who had money, and I think by the end of the wedding, it was sunny, so they just left all their umbrellas. I mean, like a few umbrellas, and they're really nice umbrellas. So now we got this nice stand of umbrellas, which is really great to say to people, take the umbrella, but bring it back. But I don't know the elephant feet. No idea about that. Harry, have you any advice for someone new to faith and struggling with belief? I want to believe and have been reading the Bible, but something in my heart remains a skeptic. Thanks. Perseverance, one of the hardest things as a Christian, when you first become a Christian or become new to faith, it's you get attacked by the devil. You really do. He really wants to put you off. And I see so many people, especially after we do like courses like Alpha and things, and people come to faith, you find this real big wobble. And so I'd say, keep reading the Bible, take time to understand it, pray to God, and do it simple as this. I say this to the primary school kids, and I think it works just brilliantly. Depends how old you are. I go, pick up the phone and speak to God. Now it might be the mobile like this, or just like text him. Like, pick up the phone and say, hey, I will, hi God, it's Dan. How you doing? I'm doing well. Well, I'm struggling a bit. Just, could you help me through this? I thank you for everything that you've done for me so far. It's been absolutely great. But just in these areas, can you just help? And it's just like that conversation, and ask him to help. Remember that when Jesus got baptized, when he started his ministry, the first thing he did he went out into the desert. Well, this is what Lent's all about. For 40 days and 40 nights, and was tempted by the devil. And I see that, and I tell a lot of Christians and new believers, when you become a Christian, it is like going out into that wilderness, and it's about staying strong. And the good thing is, actually, it helps you to become stronger. So, and find yourself a good church that you can be welcomed and loved and find support there, someone that you can chat to and things like that. Because this time is a difficult time. It can be. So Harry says, I'm from the UK, and so it's 8 p.m. Yeah, we only have one time zone in the UK. But actually it's quite funny because it says 8 p.m, doesn't it, on the time zone? The next one's like 7 p.m, 6 and 5, depends which way you go. But if you halve that, that's actually half. You're actually at 8:30. So in Greenwich Mean Time, it's 8:22, say. But where I am, I'm not that far from Greenwich Mean Time on the line, to be honest. I'm probably at 8:20. I'm behind. Where am I? I'm going to confuse myself, but you know what I mean. I'm just a few minutes behind Greenwich Mean Time. But if you're in Wales, you're still half an hour behind, probably. Billy, doorbell cameras for neighbours may help you out with proof. With the car, you're right. But the house, I think it is one house. It's the oldest house in the village, quite historical, and they don't have doorbells. I think they must have split it into two. It's an old farm, one of the oldest buildings in the village, and they don't have that. And there's no other other ones. It's just one of those things. The tire would have worn out anyway at one point and had to been changed. So it's my little battle with them. They never accept responsibility. One day they were standing before the judgment seat of God, so I just pray that they become Christian. It's all about money with them. So I've just changed it early. And thank God it wasn't the metalwork. That would have been worse. But it's crazy. It's just crazy. Silver Rocket Star, hello. Hello, hope all is well. Hope it's all well is with you. My mouth isn't working. Dorothy, good evening. Good evening to you. Harry, elephant feet unlocked a cool memory in my brain. Remember seeing that when I was a kid. I'm going to have to Google this now. Elephant feet umbrella stand. The weird thing is now I'm just going to right click, Google search elephant feet. So I'm just going to get a lot of elephant feet come up. Elephant feet. Yep. Umbrella. Elephant foot umbrella stand. Is that it? It's just a large vase. Oh, okay. Yep. I didn't realise it was like that. Billy reading a fab book by Faith Womack, who has a new YouTube channel called Bible Nerd. Reading her book called No More Boring Bible Study Fab book. Oh, right. Someone. Oh, I think that came up at our alpha. Yeah, a lady found that and said, "Is this good?" And I said, "I haven't heard anything, but you always have to test things nowadays." And so I think it's good. I think that I totally forgot about it, to be honest. So yeah, Is that good? Has anyone else read it? No More Boring Bible Study. Has anyone? Is it orthodox? I think it is orthodox. Mr. Baker, good evening. Not Vietnam. Yeah. Oh, what did he say? That was so famous back in the day, wasn't it? I'm teaching my son about old films. When I say old films for me were like, black and whites when I was growing up. And I'm teaching him about 90s films. And he's like, he doesn't know any of the stars. It's quite disconcerting, really. Francis, elephant feet as umbrella holders in hallways was probably a Victorian thing. Yeah, they do look Victorian. I do get that now. Mr. Baker, I'm very late to the party. You are. Now, the question is, do you go back and hear what's being said, or do you come in live and carry on? Billy, historically, in the days when taxidermy was popular, people had actual feet of elephants in the big houses that people would put umbrellas in. That's crazy. That is. Yeah. I could see that. It's one of those. If you did a true or false, like if it's a quiz, I'd probably go true because you could hear it. They did crazy things back in the Victorian times. Zoe, I love our presbytery. I've never experienced family properly before becoming a Christian. That's that's the thing. Churches are full of broken people, but when you've got a church that works, it's so lovely. It's such a place. That's why people want to go to church on Sunday, even though it's like this morning, like cold and rainy, and there's such an atmosphere. You feel what they would call a safe place now, right? But it's a good place. But the sad thing is, and I spoke about this before, when it doesn't work, when people are just nasty and horrible, and unfortunately those churches, it can hurt a lot more. But it's good that you found a good church. Billy, I'm a baby Christian, got baptized last May, and have someone from a local church is my baptism sponsor. I mentioned last week, felt like I had a spiritual attack, really scary dream, and woke up and grabbed my Bible. A couple of people got there before you, and just kept saying the Lord's Prayer. It's happened a few times now, so I keep my Bible right by my bed. I had such an evil dream that was so realistic and so horrendous that I actually probably went very Catholic in one way. I bought crosses for same day delivery off Amazon to put in each of the bedrooms. First, well, I needed 3, and I could get 2, and the one came delivered the next day. And I blessed them, and I put them in my kids' bedrooms because it's such a real dream. And I was like, and those crosses are still there. They're still in the bedrooms, and mine is in my bedroom that came the next day. But it was, yeah, it's very strange things happen. It's interesting as a Christian speaking to people about weird things happening, because they don't realize that Christianity is a battle between good and evil as well. and 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 when you say these things, they go, "Oh, really?" A lot of people are interested in ghosts and things like that. I'm like, well, the battle between good and evil. What things can happen is quite crazy. Nick, I mentioned it before, but my diocese is suffering from a lack of priests, and as a result, my bishop is implementing a plan which is going to see the closure of some parishes, or joining them together into massive benefices. This is the thing, and the priests aren't coming through. Yeah. JKK, the Church Times today has an article about being true to yourself, with the movie Wicked as an example of this. Shows how low they fall. I'll have to read it. If you noticed, I didn't do a video on Friday. So I watched General Synod all week, and I was doing a kind of roundup video on all the stuff. And I sat down, honestly, to record it, did the kind of script, sat down to record it, and was just so... I was like, I need to think. This is just all the stuff that's going on and all the things. It's got to be different and change. So I'm still in that thinking phase. It's better not to release something when you're not really saying the right things. But sometimes it's frustrating. Hence being frustrated by an article like that sometimes. Nick, well, we got the news today that the proposal for our area that was approved will see my church and another stay open, but our parishes will combine. Yeah, that happens. That will happen a lot more. 10 years ago, well, actually 11 years ago, the parish I'm in became a benefice with another one. And so we got two churches. Luckily, we got House for Duty priest in that church, and he's doing a good job. The thing is, the villages, even though they say we're going to put you in a benefice, the villages are so opposite. They don't really have a relationship. And so when people don't live around and just look at a geographical map and say, well, that can go with that one and that can go with that one, they don't know the local history. I remember, I think I was on a missional week at Theological College, and it was 7 churches up in the Cotswolds, and there was these 2 villages that were, it was really strange because it was in the countryside, but they were so close. They kind of became one. It looked to me like one village. There wasn't a boundary or anything. They were just one village, but they were 2. But there was only one church. And there was a whole thing about one of the doorways, about who went through that doorway and who went through the other doorway, because the 2 villages were just opposite and they would never go through the same doorways, or something like that. But you get that in local areas. And I think this is the thing. They look geographically and go, yep, they can go together. But they don't go together. They don't want to work together. And the priest then has to find a way which those churches can flourish. And it can be difficult. It can be difficult. But we pray that yours will be able to. Or I remember speaking to someone about, I think, had like 7 churches, 8 churches. And they said, a lot of them are small, and I do have to concentrate on the one that's got most life in. So the others will have to. I just haven't got time. If I try to do 8 churches, none of them are ever going to grow. If I try to concentrate on 1 or maybe 1.5, those might have a chance, but the others will just have to go, and that's hard as well. It's really hard. And the statistics say 1 priest, 1 church equals growth. Nick, however, the other 3 churches that now cluster will have to close or become festival churches, which is probably what will happen. Well, that's a good thing. That can. I was in my previous parish, we had a church that was closing, but they wouldn't close it. And it was going to become a festival church. So that means you had 6 services. throughout the year. And then you could use the building for anything else. And I thought, actually, I was really excited about that, because you could reimagine how to use a church building. So the only thing you had to do is have 6 services. But in between that, you could use the church building for a variety of things. And that was really exciting. And that actually could bring life back to a church or even a little village or hamlet as well. Richard, the time was standardized for railways. Oh, yes. Okay. When I was talking about the half hours. Yeah, I get that. But it'd be good, though, if it went back to quarter hour. That would confuse everybody, wouldn't it? So, maybe you should start a campaign. Let's go back to quarter hour just to confuse everybody. There'd be many people out there that wouldn't even realise that there would be quarter hours or half hours in the time zones. They just think it automatically is a whole hour, Mr. Baker, you will be west of the Greenwich Meridian, Rev, so you call it right just now. Okay. So I called it right. Okay, good. Whew. I was going to get confused. Billy, hey Dan, are you a fellow ADHD soul by any chance? Seeing some traits, squirrel, hyperfocus, yes, tormental vase things that people put umbrellas in, as they weren't mini umbrellas, just the big ones. I am actually, but I'm not H for sure. I'm ADD. When I had a special meeting a couple of years ago with the diocese about something, one of the results of that was I said I want to get tested because it costs £1,000, and they never did it. Or not. Let's not be unfair. Let's not say they never did it. Let's say we're still in the process of arranging it. And but yeah, definitely. Once I looked into it, I definitely got traits. I wouldn't say it's a negative thing because people made it a negative thing, but it's helping me understand how I work, how my brain works. I wish I knew many, many years ago, but it's crazy. But what was that? What's that thing you said? Trait squirrel. What is squirrel? I get the hyperfocus thing. That's great. Yeah, I get the hyperfocus thing. But what is squirrel? Zoe, I always thought elephants' feet were like shoe buns. Show buns. I don't even know what show buns are. Is that right? I'm not even saying it right, am I? And show buns. You can buy them on Amazon. Savory frilled show buns recipe. I'm learning so much tonight. I grew up in a rural Herefordshire, and I've never seen some of these things or heard some of these things. Billy, BRB, just going to get faith boo. I don't understand that, but that's good. I don't even know what BRB is. I'm going to just have to Google what BRB means. Be right back. Be right back. Be right back. I'm not so awful. You guys must be screaming at your screen sometimes. Go, give me, be right back. Like when you're watching a quiz and they're not getting the answer, it's so obvious. Nathaniel, mate, thank you for your content. Appreciate what you do. Damn big at yourself. Well, thank you. Well, appreciate it. I'm glad it helps. It's just the calling. It's just what God's tapped me on the shoulder and said, do this. And I said, okay, if you ask. So, but thanks. Lizzie, hey there. I've discovered the Common Worship Daily Prayer book. Is there any reason it's never mentioned at church? Once I've worked out how to use it, my faith has come alive. No. No. I don't know. Depends what. I suppose we wouldn't mention it. We're supposed to do the prayer daily, morning prayer and evening prayer. And that was in the book of Common Worship, morning prayer and evening prayer. And Common Worship's the updated modern version. We do it here. We do it on Zoom actually, in the morning at 9 a.m. So, but it's good. It's, you know, it depends on your personality as well. If you like to have that prayers like that, it can be a really good tool, which is probably helped you. But I suppose I don't know, unless they, because a lot of churches used to do prayer together, communal prayer using common worship, and then stopped doing it. Ours moved on before I got here onto Zoom during COVID, and it's continued on Zoom because it's the attendance at church for morning prayer at 9 o'clock was not good, but on Zoom it got more people. It was a lot easier. So, but a lot of churches, I would say, don't do it now. So if you don't go to a church that does it, you wouldn't find it really. So Rocket Star, what about getting a St. Benedict medal? Right, Google, what is a St. Benedict medal? And what does it do? You know what's really annoying me about Google now? It's like, it's put like the first 4 or 5 search results as adverts. So you have to go down, and it's really annoying. It really is annoying. Oh, it's powerful protection against evil. About the story about the nightmares and things. Because I wouldn't I wouldn't know about my saints. I'm a good evangelical, but it's good to the crosses worked, but it's good to know that helps people. Billy, someone said in one of those animated channels about faith that it's in theory a good sign that your faith is real if Satan is getting loud by you. My wife said the other day, because there's been some stuff happening, the car, there's just stuff happening at the moment, and because the devil always comes after for where you suffer, and one of them is for us in my role and things like that is money. We always start on money, and so we get huge costs. Like my wife's computer screen broke last night, and the car, and then there's something with my tax return which is not dodgy or anything. They haven't included my wife's, you know, when you get your tax return and your spouse can give her or his part of the tax if return they don't. They said that she never did it, and yet she did, because I got proof. Anyway, I just pay the tax because I'd rather just get that out of the way. And so it's added up, and my wife has just gone, we're under attack at the moment. I feel that we're under spiritual attack. There's a lot happening. And I said, well, something big's going to happen. not spiritual attack. Something good is happening. We're either going for a good thing at church or something we're trying to get waylaid. So let's just ride our way through it. So we do. But yeah, you go through those things through spiritual attack in different ways. It always comes after you in the way, like I said, one is for us financial. It's a bit of a pain. But when it comes after my kids, like financial, money's money, you know. God can give us money. He can send us money, you know. Come after my kids, then it's a spiritual warfare. Then, yeah. So it's like, right. Well, I won't tell you the story, but one time something happened. It was a lot of crashing and banging in a house. And I didn't have my collar on, and I was like, I actually put my collar on. I was like, right, this stops now, because it was around my kids in their bedrooms. So Paul Wayfair, I know it's more a Roman Catholic thing, but do you believe in guardian angels? I think most people acknowledge them. I can't remember where it's kind of said that we got them. You know, I think there are angels. There are angels in churches and things. That's in Revelation. So yeah, you know what? It's been nice to have them around, looking after. I always feel sorry for the angels in those churches that are not doing anything. Like, You know, they must be bored. Bored. So, Karen, good evening, brothers and sisters in Jesus. Good evening, Karen. Thank you for joining us. Zoe, we actually had a new couple at church this week who were struggling to find a church with an emphasis on fellowship, praying they stay and join our family. You know, it's such a huge thing. It's such a huge thing. And I've said this before, and you know, that when I first came, they had tea and coffee and things, and the majority would leave and a few people would stay, but 15 minutes and things. And now, like, a few people leave and the majority stay. And, you know, sometimes we finish. So if our service is about an hour and a quarter. And so if we finish at 11:15, some people will stay 45 minutes, and people stay longer. Sometimes I'm not out till 12 o'clock. And that's just a lovely sign. And when people are coming into that, we had a guy turn up to our church today who said, I've come because the world is so broken and messed up. I'm looking for answers. And I'm like, I hear you. I absolutely hear you. I said, you're starting in a good place. So, yeah, pray for them that they stay. Mr. Baker, I've noticed many of the young men in our church are wearing ties and jackets. It's interesting how sartorial respect for God's house is returning, although I feel feel being there is the main thing. It is. But you know what? And I went through a process of thinking about this. You know, I think it is a good thing to look smart. You know, don't make it a barrier. It's not a barrier, but it's also, I remember a priest friend when I started my journey of ordination, I had to go to meet the bishop. And I said to him, what do I wear? It was kind of like the first meeting. And he said, suit up. You know, how often do you meet the bishop? You know, make an impression. And I was like, yeah. And then I thought about, going to church on a Sunday. And what's interesting is that these younger people are coming and they go, I want to go to church. And so they're in their mind, they're going, if I go to church, I need to look smart. And where's that come from? Where is that coming from? Is it the thing that they're going to church, or is there something bigger than themselves that they need to? It's an interesting thing that they're doing. JKK, do I have any thoughts on the concept of emotional intelligence and whether churches should embrace it for leadership programs? So emotional intelligence, sorry, I've heard and I've probably been through. Let me just remind myself. Emotional intelligence, also known as emotional quotient, is the ability to perceive, use, understand, manage, and handle emotions. High emotional intelligence includes emotional recognition of emotions of self and others. Yep. Yeah, well, I think it is actually a thing, and I think it's been around for a long time. Oh, I've closed myself down. No, it's somewhere around on there it is, my chat. Well, yeah, it's know thyself, really, isn't it? It's know thyself, know how you react, whether it's emotional intelligence or personality traits or neurodivergence or whatever it is. Know yourself, know how you react, and learn. Yeah, so I think like whether it should be embraced for leadership programs, I think that needs to be scientifically proven. If it was there, don't just do it off if it's a concept or things. But there are personality traits, or are those things, and I think yes, because in another little story, that bishop. So when I went to meet that bishop, he was a good bishop, and he was my sponsoring bishop. When I went for my first interview, so I did my curacy, and I was going for my first interview, and I said to him, can I have 5 minutes with you? We was at a conference, and he gave me an hour, which is brilliant, and talked through the interview, because my first one I didn't know what to experience. And I said to him, what things should I be aware of? What do you look at which I need to know. And he said, you know, there's this part that you'll get in the interview process. We call it death by quiche, death by chocolate, death by pork, whatever it is. It's where you're invited with the other candidates at the same time, if there are any, to invite, to speak to and meet a select group of people from the parish. And it's death by quiche because people keep bringing you some food and you feel like, because you're on show, you just should keep eating, and you keep eating and you keep eating, and then you're stuffed. Because you don't want to give it a bad impression. And he said to me, at those events, you need to work the room. He said, you know, if you're more extrovert, and I know extrovert is the way that you gain energy, and same with introvert, but it also kind of is put nowadays in the modern sense to how well you engage with people and things. So if you're more open or more closed. He said, if you're more extrovert, it's easy. But if you're an introvert, it's harder. But he said to me, look, when I'm looking for a vicar, looking at a vicar in a job, whether you're extrovert or introvert, that's your job. Your whole job is to engage with people. If you're extrovert, it's easier. If you're introvert, suck it up, basically. You just have to work through and help and learn how you can cope in those situations, just to go into a room and speak to everybody. And I was like, wow, you're right. Absolutely. And we do that in our jobs anyway. But ours is a very public job. So I would say in all those things, know yourself, know your weaknesses and where you... So I'm like that, crazily enough. But the YouTube thing is easy. A lot of people on YouTube are kind of more introvert. People say to me, you're not introverted at all. You're not introvert. I am, the way that I gain energy. And for me, it's about control. So the whole YouTube thing is easy because I'm in control. If someone said, and this actually happened last year, they said, I went to this conference and they said, someone can't speak. Can you speak? And step in. Could you write a speech and step in? And I said, yeah, no, absolutely. It's fun, actually. Thrive on that. And it ended up, this guy was supposed to be the second or third speaker, and they put me at the first one to kick off the conference. So I was like, wow, this is very cool. Absolutely fine. I'm in control. You know, even if there's a couple of hundred people there, I'm in control. But say the opposite, Dan, go into the room and just mingle and chat. And I'm like, wow. Then I got to work. Then I've got to go, right. Whew, let's, okay, how am I going to do this? So there's a thing that is quite natural and it doesn't faze me. And there's another thing which is not as natural, and I have to think, right, how do I do that? And I think that's hugely important. So those things, yeah, you know, in any job, but especially in a public role, is hugely important. So I'd have to look at more emotional intelligence, but how we react, and different vicars react in different ways. Having a good team around you is huge. Nick, there's enough. There's a long answer. We're going back to my old ways. Nick, there's enough difference between my parish and the other, as well as other factors, that my priest thinks that given a few years, my parish will have a case for re-establishment. So there is hope. Yeah, you know, that's. So this is what I said to my other church. You just got to look around you. You got to take a map, and you go, if worst case scenario, other churches get there are other small churches around and they need to add them on. I said, we're not really in the case around here. Potentially, you know, one day it could. I said, we got to make ourselves so strong and so successful that our argument is, you add one more church and it's going to change the dynamic in this church will go down. And I think that's one of the things is having enough power in that way. The big churches have got that, but most of the Church of England are small churches. So yeah, well, let's hope that. JKK, do you have any thoughts on the Greenbelt Festival a few years ago? They had a drag queen school for children and that Christianity needed to be queer to attract more people. Uh, at the same point, I had a little bit of something in my throat. Don't know where that came from. Yeah, don't go. Don't. Greenmount Festival, not even Christian fun. I've never been. But even 3 years ago, when I first became Christian, it was always heading in a different direction. I think it was Christian, perhaps at one point, maybe. I don't know. Stand to be corrected. But now it's like, don't even go. Don't go. There's plenty of other things to do. Yeah. I'm not going to have too many thoughts on the Greenmount Festival because just not worth it. Nick, as for which church will get the most attention from my priest, well, the church also has a school, so my priest may be a bit busy. Yeah, exactly. They'll know. Gotta direct, you know. TP, if you're like me, you'll have a nasty cold. Well, context. I need context. JKK, I have high function autism, which makes it hard to empathize with God. That's interesting. There's one thing about, and I do think a lot of people got overdiagnosed or never got diagnosed properly, and we probably all know that. But there is an understanding of how the brain works, and it all works differently. Is interesting. It helps. Really helps us to understand how people, especially in church and things, react. So like just going back before the whole introvert thing. So I'll spend all morning around people, preaching and all those things. And when I come back, I come into my office. I need to be here for like an hour to sit down at the computer. I just need that time. That's where I regain my energy just by time. And, you know, my family know that and stuff because it takes a huge amount of energy out of me. Whereas my old training incumbent, who was such an extrovert, he didn't like church to finish. He went home with his wife and it was just like, you know, he wanted to be around people. So knowing yourself is really important, but also how you function and how people who function with you know, like JKK says, high function in autism, which makes it hard to emphasize with God. That is a huge thing. Zoe, squirrel as in a squirrel, lose focus. Oh, do I do that? Maybe. I think so. And then in books, I know it's in our family. See, ADD has been diagnosed in our family, and so it's just I use it to try help me be better in how I function, and it's helped me understand a lot of how I plan and things like that. I tell you what, if it's, I always say it. I said it for years. It's just understanding why I do it. I said if it's not in my diary, it's not going to happen. My diary, it tells me where to be, and I know it. What's it? Is a time blindness, an absolute time blindness, which is quite interesting. Deadlines and things like that. No, doesn't. It's too far away. What happens tomorrow? Tomorrow is so far away. So it's quite interesting. Francis, see that you do not despise one of these little ones, for I tell you that their angels in heaven always see my face of the Father in heaven. Yes, there you go. I'm glad you get people more holy than and knowledgeable than me to help. And that's another thing. I can't remember anything in the Bible, which is really embarrassing for a vicar because people go, well, you can't remember anything. And it's like I just can't remember. And so, yeah, that's going back to the guardian angels, I guess, Francis. Zoe, it's pronounced Chalbans. Okay, Chalbans. Right, here's a new rule. Any difficult words in brackets after, put that little pronunciation for Rev Dan. Pronunciation. Yeah, just to help. BLB law. Francis, if children have angels in heaven, then I think they will continue when we grow older. Yeah, I agree. JKK, all of the Gen Zs or Gen Zs in the chat not getting Dan's slowness. There's a guy over in the States, with Dean Zuma, and he used my video, part of one of my videos, and he put it on, and this was speed rather than through my memory or whatever it might be. He put it on 1.5 times speed on his video to say what I was saying. He's like, I totally agree with him, but I was speaking to him too slowly. And everyone said that's such a Gen Z thing to do, which is quite funny. My son does it. Is he Gen Z? I don't think he's Gen Z. My daughter is a Gen Z. I think my son's technically millennial. Billy. Scribble is something I say when I get distracted and lose track of thought or sentence, as in the film called Up. There's a dog whose owner made a collar that allows its thoughts turn into words. When the dog is chatting with the people, if there's something that distracts him, he calls scribble. So I use it when I forget what I was saying. That's funny. What's really interesting, and I've been thinking about this lately as I get older, is that there's so many traits that I was like, I'm not going to, this isn't a good thing. And so I would really concentrate on trying to keep on track, because I would totally forget what I was talking about with some people a lot. And so I put a lot of conscious effort into trying to remember. I also remember as a kid, I used to walk my feet. This is a strange one as well, slightly out. And I didn't like that. I thought feet normal walking should be like this. You don't have them out, you don't have them in like this. So I taught myself ages just walking with my feet straight. It's like, yeah, maybe that was a bit wrong as well. I'm not sure. TP, I have no personality. I'm sure you have a personality. Mr. Baker, I'm going to pick this one up. Are there many Gen Zs in the chat? Hello to you all. If you look at my statistics, there are hardly any that watch my channel who are Gen Z. Very few. It is interesting. Either they don't get on with that, they don't want to get involved in church politics, church news, or I'm just seen visually as just an old fuddy-duddy. But yeah, not many. TP, technically, aren't COV parish priests required to do morning prayer and evening prayer? But hardly any do. Yes, they are. It's part of that they do morning and evening prayer. But I got it on my phone, so you can listen to it. They record it. Well, we do it in the morning, but you can listen to it in the evening. But yeah, lots of people don't. Well, I'm not speaking on their behalf, but I don't think many people do it as they used to. And that's the thing. Did they even used to as well? Google is Algoog backwards. Does Algoog mean anything? Billy, Faith Womack is the author of the book No More Boring Bible. She is legit. She has a BA in Biblical and Theological Studies from Covenant College and a Maths from Erskine Seminary, and is married to a vicar. Being married to a vicar. I think all the others might qualify more, but cool. You should see. I don't think all the vicars are Orthodox. Look at the Church of England, Methodist Church, ministers as well. Francis, shoe, pronounced shoe. Oh, shoe. Billy, sure is a time of shaking and refining in spiritual and earthly things right now. I think so. You always got to ask, and I forget this sometimes. This is what I asked 3 years ago. 3 years since this channel really took off. But the whole LLF thing 3 years ago at General Synod, the question was, and I think my videos straight after that is, what is God doing? Or what is God allowing? as well, because we have become such, the church really has become ineffective. But if you see what's happened in those 3 years, you've got this whole apparent, there are counter stories to it now for the quiet revival, but we do see it, younger people coming into church asking questions, people like this guy coming in saying, everything's so wrong at the moment, I want to understand what's happening. So I think, there is a lot of shaking, and partly I also do believe that God's doing that because the church didn't. He doesn't want people to choose to go to hell, but the church was never shouting anything loudly. And I mean the church, capital C here, because there are churches that do. Zoe, picking up on my pronunciation as well, said to Francis, I spelled it wrong, no wonder he didn't know what I meant. I would have to look at these things anyway, but they sound nice. Nick, the St. Benedict medal is a sacramental. It's supposed to go with St. Benedict's prayer. Oh, okay. May the Holy Cross be my light. Let not the dragon be my guide. Begone, Satan. Do not suggest to me thy vanities. Evil are the things thou professest. Drink thou thy own poison. Whoa, that's a prayer. Wow, that's a prayer. Very wow. Remember Psalm 77, Silver Rockstar. Remember Psalm 77, suffer the little children. Yep. Billy's. It feels like, I don't know if everyone's up on the live or people are different sections, because we're coming. Or I'm being really slow, and the chat is actually a lot further down, and I'm actually going quite slowly. So, Billy, buckle up, Satan. Dan's got the armor of God on. Don't you mess with him. Don't invite him. I'll have the armor, but don't send the invitation. I'm joking. Richard. Billy Graham wrote a book on angels. And who just wrote the book? I listened to it last year. Lee Strobel wrote the book on miracles and angels and things, I think. No, not I think he did. He definitely wrote a book on those things, but I forgot what exactly it was. But it was a really good book. I really liked it. So, yeah. They're definitely, well, God's protecting us, but also, yeah, the angels. Well, what's going to be interesting is when we get upstairs, as it were, to really know the extent of all this. I think, and I have to think this, that people just don't realise the spiritual battle that we just don't see. And maybe perhaps people can feel the battle between the good and evil, between the darkness and the light, between the devil and his minions and God's angels. It was raging around us, and how much we are being protected from all that. And we go along living our lives thinking everything's hunky-dory, and there's just this battle that we can't see raging around us. Billy, Mill had 2 stone angels from when her church was selling items off. They had crowns of coloured lights for Christmas trees. She had them in her porch, one either side of her front door. A church selling off stuff. Surprise, surprise. I felt the same about clothes. Sunday best was a phrase that I grew up with. Thankfully, we sang hymns at school, and my return was as I'd seen. There was a craft group there, so I made a project that there wasn't a craft. Well, on my return, and I seen there was a craft group. So I made a project that could be used for the group. Oh, I see. You made a project be used for the group. The person who ran it said I did not want anything for it. And at first I said no. Then I asked her if she knew the prayer to give your life to God, which she did. And we prayed. Brilliant. Brilliant. Oh, Mr. Baker. Right. Okay. Oh, you put the English there. Good. So panem nostrum quotidianum da nobis hodie, or give us this day our daily bread. I've never said so much Latin in my life. TP, eating chocolate now, it's Lent around the corner. Yes, that should be the thing, isn't it? What we're giving up for Lent. But the more important thing, and I might have said this last week, is what's the one thing that you're giving up that you don't want anybody else to know, but God knows, that you keep secret. Billy, you no, Zoe, because I read that part. Sorry, I dress smart casual for church because I generally spend the whole of Sunday out the house. Morning service, lunch somewhere, and then evening service. It's a long day. Yeah, and then on here. Well done. Yeah, I'm an introvert, Dan. Church has brought me out of my shell a lot though. And I think so. I think there are, because being an introvert, some people are just quiet and react in different ways, but they can come to church. And I think using introvert and extrovert in those ways can be quite, it's not helpful. It's just people are who they are. I say this when we like doing alpha course and stuff like that. I say, you don't need to speak. You have my permission not to speak. Because some people just don't want to speak. They want to listen. Some people are listeners and they spend all the time. Those people, everyone's speaking for 45 minutes. And you got that one person who just listens, doesn't say anything. And they come out with one sentence and just, boom, nails it. Because they've taken all the information in. And it's just like, so we all have our different ways, our different personality, talents and gifts. So, yeah, you're absolutely right. And you want to be in a place that loves you for who you are and not judges you. And I think that's the thing. You've got to be loud and you've got to be... There was a book that I started listening to. I don't think I ever finished, but I think it was called Quiet. It was about living as an introvert in an extrovert world, which it is really an extrovert world. And it was like, just listening to the first part, I was like, wow, this is really great. You don't have to be someone else. You just be you. And that's a great thing with Christianity, is like, we are all individual and God made us that way. And be you, be who you are. That's why I put my daily devotional, don't be normal, be you. Because what is normal? What standard have you tried? Whose standard are you trying to be acting? And it would be like acting. Just be who you are and flourish in who you are. But you need to get to know yourself. Know thyself. Sunshine Lady, are priests trained to counsel people alongside confession? I don't do confession, but I have friends who do confession, Anglo Catholics. But you know what? You can get, it's crazy. The things that we have to deal with and not having those counseling skills. My wife did a psychotherapy course, and so I know a bit, and the training that she had to go through. And we don't have that. It's a theological training, but you can get really involved in some tragic and difficult situations. And yes, there are always, you need to be aware to pass them on to professionals, but there is a kind of lack of training, and also a lack of all the people who have been trained, they have to have when they go to have counselling, supervision. They have to have supervision, and it's not like required. You got your spiritual directors and things like that, but it's not. But that's slightly different from supervision. So no, people aren't trained to counsel, really. I think we had an intensive study week at Theological College about counselling, but it wasn't anything to set you up for what you're going into. I think most people will just go, most priests will be, therefore, by the grace of God. Like, just God, give me the right words and don't let me make this situation worse. It's, yeah. Mr. Baker, yes, I try to wear proper trousers and not shorts or denim, and a collared shirt to church on Sundays, but midweek masses, I might have jeans. I think the Catholics and the Anglicans will wear very different things. I would see if you had to put like a scale of who would be the smartest. I would say Catholics would be the smartest going to church. I could just see that. Billy, I understand the situational introvert things. If it's a specialist interest, yet can talk for England, or spontaneous or under pressure, brain leaves the building. It's our low dopamine thing that makes it difficult. Is there a low dopamine? I don't. That's one thing I'm learning all about this. It's like teaching an old dog new tricks. Billy, what do I wear to get confirmed? Wear something smart. Look smart. You're getting confirmed. It's a special day. Yeah, absolutely. Wear something really nice. Mr. Baker, who here is going to church on Wednesday for your ashes? I intend to. I'm going because I have to take the service. So, we have a good. We're doing it in our sister church. They're doing it at 10:30, and we're doing it at 6 p.m. But we get a decent turnout to start then. So yeah, go to church, get ashes on your head. Billy, someone had a good quote. We are sitting down at tables that we should be flipping over. Yes. Yeah, I had that quote the other day. Mr. Baker, after my pancakes on Tuesday, I will fast for Lent between breakfast and evening meal and no snacking. Pray for me. Well, but this is the whole thing, isn't it? I said this to the kids at the assembly when we talk about Lent. That time when you really want to give up, and we need to give stuff up for Lent that stretches ourselves. That's the time you turn to God. We'll pray for you, but that's the time you turn to God and say, God, I'm really tempted to give up. Help me. Help me. And I said, when you do that, and then suddenly something interrupts you, or those feelings go away, that's God helping you. And then you know he's there, and your faith, your relationship with him deepens. That's what Lent's about. So yeah, really push yourself. Zoe, I'm high functioning ASD. I used to think I could never believe in God. Then I got to the point where I realized the world needed a creator. Science and mathematics confirms this. No, absolutely. And you know what? People with these neurodivergence, it's interesting hearing from them and speaking to them about how they believe. It's interesting because it's in a way that, you can't see or you don't understand. And then when you start to understand, it's like, wow, if you believe in God, that makes the argument stronger. Billy, there's a channel called ADHD. Love, they're both neurodivergent and the sketches are so relatable. I would have to see that. Zoe, the rest was spiritual, but that's how it started. Oh, a sec. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry. In between. Yeah, exactly. And again, some people come through to faith through logic and some come through feeling. And that again shows just who we are and how we react to God. But that shows who God is, isn't it, as well? I love it. I love it. Because God is all those things and different people can relate to him. It's not if Christianity is one track, this is how you come to Christianity, I'd be really skeptical that Christianity was true. But when you got someone like, I read the Bible, I came to faith, or I looked at the science of something and I came to faith, or I was in a desperate state and I prayed, I screamed out like something to something and it was answered and I came to faith. Or I just felt something. I walked into a church and I felt something and I came to faith. That is like, and you're all coming to the same faith after those initial things and an investigation. That makes it more believable. where you would think it would be the opposite. One track would be more believable. Lizzie, RE ADHD. I'm on the 10-year waiting list for an assessment. I'll be 70 by then. However, I looked at lots of helpful tips to organize my life. I can't do anything without a chart. Yeah, well, 10-year waiting list, and it costs like $1,000, doesn't it? So it's, it's not having the labels. It's having the personal thing to say, this is how I operate and how I can operate better. Billy, watch out for all that focus. It's called masking or camouflage. It's wise in some situations, but really drains neurospicy systems. Yeah, there's times that I've had I got my, at the moment, the Olympics is on, American football's finished, so I'll have something there just as I'm working sometimes, and I'll pause it and I'll get focused on something, and half an hour later realize that there's something there and I paused it. It's like, oh, this is what this means. Vincent, I see you are familiar with Redeemed Zoomer. How are you engaged with Reconquista? Well, I did a video about it that I align with what he said about strengthening our churches and then taking over all these liberal churches as they go, and staying within our denominations and not giving them over. And a lot of people who watched that video were like, yeah, absolutely. I thought I was going to get slaughtered, but people were like, yeah, absolutely. I fully align with this. I love the Church of England. I don't want it to fail. And so I'm going to have a meeting with, because they have the European version, Crossbearers. I'm going to be speaking to them in the next couple of weeks, just to see where we align. But I think we need to be better and stronger together and know that we're not isolated and alone. I don't know what it all looks like. There are so many little groups out there just doing their own thing, which is a really good thing. So many individuals as well. So we'll see. But we need to find each other and come together. Nick, Dan, did you hear that MP Rupert Lowe is launching his group, Restore Britain, as a new political party? His video focused on immigration, but also touched on celebrating Britain's Christian heritage. Yeah, you can't not see it, and good on him. The British Christian heritage. Well, this was built, and I spoke about this before. It was built on Christian values. Has Britain ever been a Christian country? Truly Christian? Jesus Christ is our Lord and Saviour. We're living in the world, but not of the world. We now belong to another kingdom. No, I would say it hasn't. The gate is narrow and all that. And so it has been built on that. But, we've seen throughout years, we put our trust in Christ and in him alone. Nations come and nations go, and some will rise and some will fall. We didn't see the early disciples trying to change Rome or anything, did they? They just went and preached Christ and him crucified, and the Roman Empire eventually fell. But they worked within systems. In the church, remember, the church thrives under corruption a lot more than it does, not under corruption, well, under that, but under oppression. Sorry. The church thrives under oppression. And when it becomes comfortable, this is what we get now. Look at the effect of being comfortable over the past 100 years, or even longer, is we get a very weak church. So it's good that we got this Christian heritage. We should be concerned that there are so many people in the world that aren't Christian, that don't have a Christian heritage. It'd be great that every country had a Christian heritage because they had Christianity in that country. Is he a Christian? Or is he just using Christianity? That's a question. Is he using Christianity, or is he just saying it's built on a Christian heritage? But again, what is that? Truly. But yeah, I did see. But again, it's like with politics. I don't say don't get involved in politics. I think Christianity influence things, but it's not our number one thing now. Jesus is, and so that's where I come from. Mr. Baker, put on the whole armour of God, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. Absolutely. Jez and Matthew. Jezza. Was your son born in 1996 or before? If yes, then he's a millennial. If no, then he's Gen Z. No, okay, so he's born in 2007. Jacob K, do you think that the church will have to draw lines over Christian nationalism at some point in 10 to 20 years? Is that the same way it has over same-sex blessings? Christian nationalism has come up so quickly. It has come so quickly. And they were already drawing lines. A lot of people and organizations are speaking out, like the Evangelical Alliance have. I think Speak Life with Glenn Scrivener has done something, or I heard the other day. There were a lot of Christian organizations saying this is not great. We know where it's coming from. We know it's a reaction to something, but it's not the answer. As I said in videos on it, it's my worry it becomes a cultural Christianity, and it gets too involved in an identity of a nation, and the whole nation thing is gone in a way. God made a covenant with the nation of Israel, but now it's all different once you get to the New Testament, and it's about people and people knowing the gospel. And so, yes, the West has grown on Christianity, but again, the West has also fallen because the gospel wasn't preached. It really is down to looking at us. And Christian nationalism is I think, is getting Christianity too involved in the nation, and that's a dangerous thing. So I think not in 10 or 20 years' time. I think it's being addressed at the moment. I really do. And my issue is, like I say, I understand where it's coming from. I understand what's happening in this country and all those things. But as a Christian, as a true child of the kingdom of God, and being in his kingdom rather than living in the world, is that we just end up with people thinking they're Christians and they're not, because they equate it with their country rather than with Christ. And their country becomes an idol, as it were, rather than seeing Christ as their savior. And I think that's the biggest danger. Mr. Baker, interesting. Nick, is Rupert Lowe a practicing Christian? Yeah, I was picking at that because I saw that there. Unless people are practicing, it can become a badge of convenience. We live in interesting times. That is the question. Where are we? TP, if you don't know much Latin, then learn Oscan or Faliscan. I have no idea what those are. Are they languages? Mapafit. Oh, is it? Oh, and it's Faliscan is an extinct language in Italy. Oscan is one of the Italic language closely related to the Umbrian. And I tell you what, I struggle learning Spanish, and my wife is Colombian, so I get in so much trouble. Jacob K. Stephen Neal, who's a well-known IFEC pastor, dresses in a football shirt and cap when he preaches. I mean, there isn't anything wrong with it. There shouldn't be anything wrong, but at the same time, This feels like, why? Like, just, ew. You know, if you're going before God, if you had a meeting before God, it's like, right, okay, Dan, you got 2 o'clock meeting before God. I would like polish my shoes, you know, iron everything, just make sure every little hair and thing is just this. I want to look spot on for him. I wouldn't turn up in a football shirt. But again, I wouldn't say it's wrong. I'm torn. I'm so torn. TP, introvert, extrovert, or pervert? I don't know what that is. I'll leave that one, TP. Jessa, do you have to give up something for Lent? I went to an Anglican church and they did the Ash Wednesday thing today. But do you have to give up something? I haven't a clue what I'm giving up. Okay, so if you want to really challenge yourself, you can give up the outward thing. Chocolate, crisps, swearing. Give it swearing anyway. Whatever it might be. Give that up. And that's where you're like really tempted to eat chocolate, or you got a sweet tooth, or whatever it might be, or you got a savory tooth, you eat crisps, or give up that, because when you are tempted by week 3, week 4, maybe in week 2, then you just go, Lord, please help me through this. I really need your help because I just want to eat some chocolate. Do that one. But give up something, the thing that you would never want anybody to know. God knows it, but you would be so mortified if people knew. And use this time of Lent to give that up, to say, I'm going to keep this between me and God and give that up. You know, and things like most people do, like excessive drinking, smoking. People smoke, Christians smoke and hide it. Porn, the way that you speak to people internally in your mind, or whatever it might be, you know, give up that. When I first became a Christian, I gave up the external things. I gave up coffee, alcohol, and anything that was bad, sweets, chocolate, cake. Woof, that was a big, and for 46 days, because that I included the Sundays as well. So don't do that now. I just looked across. There's a lady doing ice skating, and she stood on her head, like on her head on the ice. Zoe, there are 2 sexes and infinite personalities. You got it the right way around. Absolutely. Billy, I'm Audi HD, spelling it how it sounds. I'm Audi HD. It means autistic and ADHD. Finding out that has made a massive positive difference to my life. With a ton of research, helps me be kinder with my challenges. Yeah, exactly. And how you react to different things. Richard, do you set any store by exorcism and exorcists? Do you set any store by exorcism? I don't understand that one. Just rephrase that. It's more probably me. It might be me. Zoe, my minister mentors me, but I only confess my sins to God. Yep. You can do that. Billy, confession rules. I was watching the series Broadchurch. Without spoilers for people, there was a murder and the vicar was visiting the person who did it, who knew he did it, but the vicar told no one. Ooh. That's the whole thing with the church and the confessional, the seal of confessional, which is more the Anglo-Catholic that you... they were trying to change it, and they were saying, look, we can't change it. It's the seal of the confessional. And they said, well, if someone confessed to a murder, and you can't say anything. Yeah. Mr. Baker, I don't know if I'm ADHD or autistic, etc. I just go through life. I'm a weirdo, left scratching my head at the behaviour of many in the world half the time. Yeah. Yes. Billy, that would be realistic in real life. Zoe, I'm diagnosed with ADHD and ASD, but I simply see these as struggles. Before everything, I'm a Christian. And that's right. Christian first. I'm a Christian I'm a Christian. Christian Zoe first. Karen, thank you for what you shared regards how good is coming after difficulties. I believe this. God is so faithful, and we learn this through during these times. I do. I've grown so much through my difficulties. I hated going through them. I hated putting my family through them. But now we're through them in such a difficult time. I'm stronger, so much stronger, grown up more in myself. And the ministries thrive. You know, our church is just really thriving, and the online stuff is just being a blessing to people. But you know, you have to go through the struggles. And I think, again, like the country needs to go through a struggle to find Jesus as well. And so asking about Rupert Murdoch, is it? No, not Rupert Murdoch. Rupert, somebody? Anyway, Rupert, doing this political party. Then we, you know, don't lean on a cultural Christianity. Lean on the Christ who died for us. That's the key thing. Billy, neurodivergent is an individual, not neurodivergent, known as allistic. Okay, there's stuff that I need to learn. Visual learners and analytical, check out the infographic Bible. It's all charts and graphs, how things interconnect. Really interesting. Yeah, well, that's the other thing, isn't it? I'm looking. I think I got the infographic. I think I got the infographic Bible. I love charts. It says a lot now. So, Zoe, I felt the Holy Spirit the first time I went to church and then started reading the Gospels, and it changed my whole life. Praise God. That's what I mean. How people come to faith is amazing. And you confirm your faith not long after. Nick, I'll get the quick break from work on Wednesday to go to Mass for Ashes. We'll be trekking for others to church in my car too. Yeah, it's good. I think the start of Lent, you know, marked by that and the ashes, and if you can, leaving the ashes on is a good thing. So the only country who can say they are Christian country right now is Poland, but they show it. You know, the men publicly get down on their knees in the high street and pray the rosary. Now, you know, I'm not a big, I don't do the rosary, but I respect that public acknowledgement of really praying. And what they praying for? What were they praying for? I think they're praying against abortion or something like that. You know, the most visually Christian country. Matthew Benedict Newton, Javed Shah, Lepento. I'm not sure what that is. Need a bit context. Billy, you mentioned not knowing much about the terms around ADD and neurodiversity. Would you like me to email with you resources about that? Yes, please. Every little helps. As just learning about this. Darren, question. Why does not Jesus return now? He could, and many people are praying for that. But the thing is, if he does return, then that's it. Those who don't know him, that their choice has been made. They chose not to know him, and they will not be with him forever in a place called hell. And those who do know him will be there. But we might have some regrets as well, going, why didn't I just tell more people? I didn't think it was going to end. So in one way, it gives us time that he doesn't come back, but he could. But it also says in the Bible, Jesus doesn't even know the hour or day that he would come back. But I think we just don't know when he will, and we got to live our lives that way. What do we put as the most important thing to us? And I think the first thing's got to be the gospel, and telling others. If we know we got the best prize ever, we got the best gift ever, but others won't. So that would be my 2 pence on that. Francis, the Ash Wednesday thing we did today was to burn last year's palm crosses to make the ashes to use on Wednesday. Yeah. So ready for Wednesday. And I think that's such a beautiful thing, using the palm crosses from last year. When I first learned that, I love it. I love things like that. And the linking. We still got some left over from last year. So we'll the ashes. So we'll finish that off. Mr. Baker and said, it's not for us to know the time and the hour, but we should be ready. It is absolutely being ready, like the watchman, watching and waiting, looking for the signs. We still don't know the signs. We'll get to heaven and we'll speak to people from many different ages, many different interesting conversations, and go and say to them, did you think it was the end times? Did you think Jesus would come back, back in 845 in the area that you lived in the world? Did you feel that? And they might go, yeah, we did actually. It could get it will get a lot worse than it is now. JKK, is it a sin to be a picky eater? No, not at all. Not a sin at all. Mr. Baker, have oil in your lamps. Yeah, that's a good story. That is a good story in the Bible. TP, Nightle, good night. What's the time? I tell you what, this really goes quick. It really does go quick. You are amazing for keeping along with this. Richard, we're struggling against evil, Satan, etc. Do you think exorcists are part of that struggle? Okay. Okay. No. Oh, in what sense? Because they do it? No, I think people need to be released from the oppression of the demonic. And it's quite oppressive for them. In the Anglican Church, in every diocese, there's an exorcist. It kind of just gets related to the Catholic Church, but it's in the Anglican Church as well. But when it comes to oppression from the demonic and with people, I think they need to be exercised. I think what we struggle against with evil and Satan is that we too freely expose ourselves to it. You're Christian, you can't have a Buddha or any other religious icon in your house. It's dangerous, and it can be used in such a dangerous way, and we need to get rid of them. But we think that, oh, they're nice, it's okay, it's not harmful, and yet they are really harmful. And the time, and even with the battle, and I said this before, the guy from, is either Boyzone or Westlife, saying, he was in a record label's office and they were playing a song where they were praying demonic prayers over it or something like that. There's a video out there, probably find it quite easily. And so you could just think, oh, this is a nice pop song, but actually it's against us. So that means we also not only don't have those things in our life that the devil can use against us, we also need to, as we were saying in Ephesians, put on the armor of God to pray those prayers of protection, to read our Bible, to go to communion, to be in the fellowship, to confess our sins, even if it is to God. We need to protect ourselves. And I think part of the trouble is we are just so lackadaisical, not just in the country, but as the church. We expose ourselves to evil. Nick, I'm just a Catholic nerd with a healthy addiction to books and English medieval history. English medieval history is cool, though. And books. Sunny, shalom, greetings, Rev Dan. Apologies, I haven't got to send an email to you. Sincere apologies, no apologies needed. But would definitely appreciate your counsel on future ministry with C of E. What about the recent synod? One action. Yeah. I don't know how we can. When an organization grows so big and you have to rule it like that, and just there were lots of things at synod, but the whole LLF thing I found quite amusing. You had the two sides, and they put forward a proposal, and then there was loads of amendments, so they had to vote on them. So if you kind of walked out the room or weren't sure who put forward the amendment, the Liberals or the Conservatives, all you have to do is wait to who stood up at the end when they came to the vote and say, we want a vote by every house. Because if you vote by every house, it's harder to get through. And especially with the House of Bishops who would vote against every amendment anyway. So if the Liberal turned up, you realised it was a Liberal amendment. If a Conservative stood up, you realised it's a Conservative amendment. And it's like, oh, here we go. And at the end, they just voted the next phase through. I don't know what would have happened if they didn't. But now we're just going down another 2 years of this. There's a whole thing about the Project Spire, the £100 million, which got a bit of pushback, actually, which is quite interesting. The flowers, the fake flowers things, was also quite interesting. Someone stood up and said, "Can we move to next business? This is just a waste of time," and that got voted down. But there were, you don't hear so much about Jesus and the gospel and churches growing and all the really important things. We're just like going around the outside of things, like getting bored, not bored, but just like distracted by sustainable flowers and things. So, yeah. That's why I couldn't do my video. I wrote it, but was just like, I don't want to record all this. It's not, it is worth it because I know people listen. I was just not in the right frame of mind. I need to reset myself, as it were. There needs to be something better, more direction. Zoe, I'm reading a book called The Reason for God right now. Really gets me thinking, by Tim Keller. Oh, yeah. I know that one. I read that years ago. Mr. Baker, I'm reading the KJV, including Apocrypha this year. Well done. King James Version. We had that at the 8 a.m. this morning. There was a lot of difficult words in that this morning. Billy, Infographic Bible has a beige cover with gold lettering on the cover if you are trying to find it. Yeah, I know the one. And it's quite a big book as well. I know the book. Why is mine? You know that I got two chats, and this one on the right hand side, my long one, just in case I don't catch up, keeps going, and the one on my screen doesn't keep going. So I'm like, I can see you're chatting, but why isn't this moving? But it's good that it isn't moving because it means I can keep up. Zoe, I flick between ESV and NLT, and those are the two that I really like. Mr. Baker, I like the KJV language. It's arcane, but not so that it's incomprehensible. No, it's just a hard read. It can be a hard read. Mr. Baker, I'm last year's palm cross on my piano. I got 4 or 5 up on my cupboard. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, just behind me here, there's a what do you call it? A bureau. And I got about 4 or 5 on top. You know, every year you bring one back and you shove it on top. And then you pull something off and they all fall down like they did the other day. Zoe, the KJV is beautiful and poetic. just not so great for those with less advanced reading skills. KJV was a standard for centuries, though. Yeah, maybe that's that would be interesting, wouldn't it? So many people could understand it, and now we just can't. And people say, 9:40 is the time. That was 8 minutes ago. Am I 8 minutes behind on the chat? Wow, it must be crazy. You write stuff, and I'm speaking about stuff. Well done, people. Well done. I admire you. Zoe, the channel has become part of my Sunday routine. I know, that's why it's even my family know now that I do this. So I'm good. It's good. I'm glad. Billy, how much does an exorcism cost? It doesn't. You get usually. So the process is, if I get called to see somebody, and I think, well, is this? I'd make a decision, and usually we'd go with somebody else. But say if there is, then we get the diocese exorcist in, and they would use their advanced knowledge and skills to understand. I've spoken to a person who was an exorcist, and they said to me, the majority of the time they just need a doctor or to speak to somebody. It's rarely demonic. So, but it's free. But Mr. Vegas, it's time to spread the word and evangelize, and it's 9:41. Sunshine Lady, a priest once said, a good confession is a lot better than exorcism. Absolutely. And I said to my Anglo-Catholic friend, what's the best thing if you're called to someone's house because things are going bump in the night? And he said to do a communion. The high value of communion. And so I was like, So I say that to people when I do the home communions. I say, my friend says, your house is going to be free of things because communion is the thing. So I don't know if you Catholics would agree with that. Zoe, I threw my buddy in the bin when I became a Christian. I actually don't even know why I had it. Exactly. That's the thing, isn't it? We just have it, especially things like Buddha. Billy, can you do a video about that icon thing? I have a Buddha as my late hubby was keen on Buddhism. I can. Yeah, I can. I started to do teaching videos, but really didn't get that far. But I can include that in a teaching video. Because those are the little things, see? Those are the little things. So I went down to the bottom and now I'm trying to find my place of the chat. Richard, thank you. I'm worried about the Buddha I brought back from my holiday. It's I do a video on it. It's just a gateway, as they say. It's not good to have. But then there's sentimentality involved with some things as well, and that's difficult. Yeah, so Richard says it's not an idol, it's sentimental. I will get into it. I'll study it more and come back with an answer. Especially those things with it's sentimental, rather than you got it for any other reason, because that's probably the crux of it. If it's an idol, if it's there, then it's easy. But if it's sentimental, what do you do? That's probably the crux of a video. Billy, I made the mistake of starting the KJV, and it was like reading Shakespearean language. I like ESV, NIV, and NLT too. But ESV, it can be a bit more difficult to read in one way. Not as bad as the KJV. Richard, I'm using the NRSV and the NIV. The NRSV is what they use at Oxford University and in their exams. And because it's a good translation, but a bit dry. Ian, I've given up reading fiction books and now I just read the Bible and other good religion books. There are very good religious books, religious fiction books, as it were, or fiction books written by Christians. Because the danger is that you get, after a while, you just want to go back because you enjoy them, and it's not denying, but then you know it's safe. Mr. Baker, I have records which are unclean spiritually from when I was a teen. Maybe you should burn them. You could do. Anything that I'm not sure about that is just think, I bless, like pray over. Just don't let this be used in a demonic way or in a way that is evil. So yeah, that can be this is the answer. God pray to God. Richard said, thank you, Rev Dan. Well, I'll get on that. Half term this week though. Half term. So I've got 2 unruly children at home. Where are we? Nick. I use the first RSV, Second Catholic Edition for Study Bible, and the Dowie Rayams. Now, I've heard of that. I don't know how to pronounce it. Essentially, the Catholic version of the KJV, although older Bible for general reading. So the Revised Standard Version, that's it, isn't it? For the Second Catholic Edition, Revised Standard Version, and the Dowie Rayams. In church, we use the NIV, and I've just let the 8 o'clockers, who we do the 1662 Book of Common Prayer, to use the KJV in there instead of the NIV, because it makes sense, right? If we're doing the whole service of the Book of Common Prayer, NIV is the kind of why we're using that. So, but we just need to check when we're doing our sermons, because the words can be a bit different. But yes, we use those 2. But then I use personally ESV and NLT, as we've been chatting. But Zoe, spiritual cleansing is incredibly empowering. Same with spring cleaning. Spring cleaning is like the same, isn't it? Wait there, I missed that. I missed your... Where did I miss that? I caught it. That's strange. Reams. Okay. Reams. Dowie Reams. Okay. Now I know. Look, I'm learning stuff tonight. Mr. Baker, is there something spiritually unclean? E.g. AC/DC's Highway to Heaven album. You'd have to listen to the words to really understand. Or is it one of those that if you listen to backwards, then it says those things? Betty's Craft Room. I still have a deck of card. I still have a card deck collection and some books in relation to divination, never witchcraft, and since getting into faith, haven't touched them, but still have attachment to some deck of cards. When I before I became a Christian, I looked into a lot of spirituality and what do you call it? Like, when people try to speak to dead and stuff like that. And anything that was associated with that, I burnt. I literally burnt. I got rid of it. I was just like, nah, get rid of that. Billy, I'm conflicted, but with the energy as it is in the world, don't want to take any chances. Yeah. Nick, pronounced Dowie Rayams. You guys are awesome. Helping me with my lack of knowledge on how to pronounce anything. Dowie Reams. GT7, no more Alleluia until Easter Day. I know. I said And Glorias. No more Glorias. I love the Gloria. The words of the Gloria are just amazing. It's one of my, and I keep thinking every Sunday, I need to look into the words more and the history and all this. And then I carry on with the service and forget. But no more Gloria. No more Alleluias until Christmas Day, until Easter Day. Richard, has anyone read the Geneva Bible? Yeah, that one I haven't. Dowie Reams is similar to the KJV. Nick, it's all right, Dan. French is impossible to decipher for anyone. Mr. Baker, as it was from the Counter-Reformation when the Roman Church responded to the Protestants' Bible. I'm going to put into the chat for those who are still on here. So this through this group that I know, they got this AI they started up. It's called Rasto AI. I forgot what the name comes from. It's very Christian and very Catholic, even though they say in all the gump at the beginning that it's not. It's Christian, and it comes back with a lot of, you Catholics will love it. It comes back with a lot of quiness, a lot of the popes in their sayings. It is quite actually interesting. I asked it, is it which is right, Catholicism or Protestantism? And it came back Catholicism. So, but they set it up because most the AIs are quite biased from what they put in, and they wanted to do a Christian version, but it's such a Catholic version. But it is good. Mr. Baker, Gloria in Excelsis Deo, always great on Easter Sunday. People of goodwill. Yeah, well, we're continuing with the Psalms in our sermon series because they suit so beautifully in the I just realised and I left a book in church. Sorry, that's my mind gone off. They sit so beautifully with Lent. So we're going to be using some of the Psalms as we go through Lent, and then we go back to the normal lectionary as we get through. Richard, Gloria is sung in the Catholic Church on Maundy Thursday. Oh, that's interesting. Do you strip the church? Do they strip the church? We strip the church in the Anglican Church. Do you strip the church after the communion service? Because we strip the church. That's one of the most powerful times, I think, as Psalm 22's read. After you've done the communion service and someone reads Psalm 22 in as much as darkness as you can without health and safety getting involved, we strip the church. The trouble with our church, that the altar table got changed in the 90s. I don't know what happened. It's a kind of modern table and you see through it, and then you just see through the altar table a white heater. So we got to make a black covering this year for the heater because it just does not go well. It just looks awful. But do you strip the church? Are you hot? Okay. Richard, with bells, yes, it should be stripped. Okay. Sunshine Lady, we hide all religious objects. T7, you do a vigil. So you cover them. Mr. Baker, statues get covered in Holy Week. I suppose in a Catholic church, it would take you ages to strip the church as well. We pre-strip some of it, so it doesn't take as long. So some of the stuff we just take out ready that's not needed, and then other stuff that we needed for the service to be there, we leave and then we take out. Nick, it was produced by exiled English Catholic clergy in Douai, France, and Reims. Oh, okay. I've been to Reims, and I don't think I've been to Douai. The Old Testament was translated in Douai in 1609 to 1610, and the New Testament in Reims in 1582. Oh, that's what. Oh, that's why it's called that. That's nice. I like that. In my Anglican Catholic Church, items like crosses get covered in purple. In purple? Okay. Usually it'd be black, but each church would probably do their own thing. Oh, look at that. I've just seen the time, you good people. I can't believe time goes so quick. This is like, what do you call it? It's an easy part of the job. It just time flies. It just absolutely flies. But I can feel it in my voice tonight. My voice is going. GT7 Andy. We also have Taze during Lent. Really good. Silver Rockstar have a statue of Queen Nefertiti, when a King Tut, and a copy of Venus. I did classics. I'm doomed. Yeah, there you go. Nick, traditionally all statues are covered by Lenten shrouds the week prior to Holy Week. The high altar is stripped in on Monday, Thursday, and the Blessed Sacrament is taken to an altar of repose. Billy, time flies when you're having fun. Exactly. But we also need bed, and my voice needs to rest. That's why it's good to have Monday off. I can just rest. Karen, thank you. So yeah, let's end it here for this half term. Pray for those parents who are I'm trying to find my finish. Who are going to be, what do you call it, struggling with the kids. Lead us out with a prayer. Absolutely. Yeah, let's pray. Heavenly Father, we do pray for this time of Lent for all of us, Lord, in our different traditions and wherever we are. We pray for Ash Wednesday to be a beautiful start to that time as we slow down, as we come to trust and know you more in those things that we give up, and help us to give those things up that we show on the outside, but more, Lord, on the ones on the inside, the ones that we don't want anybody to know. And may this time of Lent draw us closer to you. And Lord, whatever's happening in the world, we pray that we can show Christ to those who are lost around us, always waiting and watching for you to come back. And may this Lent we tell people the good news that we know, and so they can come with us on Easter Sunday morning to celebrate your risen Son, our Lord and Saviour, Jesus Christ. Amen. So there we go. So thank you. Thanks for joining me. I'm just seeing Marcus just joined late, but good to see you. Good to see you. And to generate the chat. Yeah, it's been good. It's great to have this this little community going. But we'll get back next week. Marcus, come back a bit earlier if you can and join in. Right, I'm going to press the button. We're going to go to bed. Have a great night and have a great start to Lent.